Good morning, YouTube community. This is John Feets back with you to finish up our exercises that have to do with our new amazing children book series, book Big Al. Okay, so we're going to get into the exercises now that were associated with this book, the social skills and the language and articulation training. Okay, thanks for joining me. To begin with, we want to know that we want to identify the setting of our story. Our setting is the ocean. Okay, in our book, the setting is the ocean. Characters in the story are Big Al, the tiny fish, the school of tiny fish, and the fisherman. The plot in this particular book begins like this. Big Al wraps himself with seaweed. Big Al wiggles himself into the sand. Big Al cries big salty tears into the sea. The little fish see how big Al is and steer clear. Big Al puffed himself up round. Now again, these are just events in the story, and you can use these events to have your child practice sequencing and putting the events of a narrative in order. Okay, so you can do 3 of these sentences, or 4 or 5. Okay. In terms of social skills, strategy is to think about the problem step 1. Step 2, always make an action plan. Step 3, check to see if the problem is fixed. Step 4, if the problem is not fixed, try a new action plan. And step 5, keep trying action plans until the problem is fixed. So when you have a social problem, this is the strategy that works very effectively. In the story, Big Al was lonely, not very good looking, but wanted friends. His action plan was, first, he tried to hide himself with seaweed. This did not work. The little fish just saw a floating plant with big teeth. Then he tried to be funny. By puffing himself up, it worked for a little while, but the little fish only saw how big he was. Then he hid himself in the sand to look smaller. Again, this worked for a little while. Then Big Al sneezed and all the sand disappeared and the fish ran away. Fourthly, Big Al changed his color to fit in. He tried to swim along with the fish. It worked for a while, but he ended up bumping into them and scaring them away when they turned suddenly. Finally, Big Al did not give up. He did not blame others, but he showed kindness. This action plan worked because people respond to you being yourself and you being kind. In the end, all the fish wanted to be his friend. So this is a social lesson that this story teaches us. Then we look at the language of our story a little bit. Let's look at the language in our story. The vocabulary in our story that I thought was important was delightful, tremendous, very, surface, bright, lonely, clumsy, charge, capture, dart, and fierce. These are great words to help your 3rd, your 4th grader improve their vocabulary. They can use a dictionary and look up these words, the meaning of these words. They can create sentences with these words. They can start to make little stories with these words. Then we have great other terms, adjectives and adverbs such as huge, puffy, fierce, clever, silly, delightful, tremendous, sharp, and silently. These ly words are adverbs, tell how you do something. Again, these are also great words for your kids to look up the words. Then use these words in sentences create little stories with these words, okay, and play little games with these words. Then we have verbs, action words: wanted, darted, worked, joked, talked, rushed, puffed, ripped, watched, flopped, bubbled, tangled, wiggled, and stared. Like I always like to identify, action words that end with T or D, when you add the ED on the end, has an id sound. Wanted, darted. When they end with a voiceless sound like K or SH or F, you have a T sound. Joked, worked, talked, rushed, puffed. When they end with a voiced sound like L or R, you have bubbled, tangled, wiggled, and stared. Okay? So these are some of the terms in the story that you can point out to the kids that you work with and have them work to create sentences with these words. Then we move to articulation. In this story, there are several words that have the SH sound, the S sound, the CH sound, the th sound, S blend sounds, K and G sounds, F sounds, R sounds, and L sounds. Here are some examples of SH. Sure, rushed, crushing, splash, dashed, fisherman, ocean, wishing, and sharp. S sounds: sea, seaweed, disguise, silly, sand, sadder, surface, salty, and single. The ch sound: changed, charged, watching. The th sound: teeth, thought, thumping, mouth, through, other, they, with, something. S blend words: skin, stop, stared, scratchy, stuck, sneezed, school, instant, strong. K and G words: talk, could, color, caught, clear, big, gills, gone, and single. F words: friend, puffed, fish, himself, forgot, fierce, puffy, fine, and flip. R words: ripped, round, rounder, very, scary, rushed, other, sadder, single. L words: al, least, little, salty, silly, laughing, clever, alone, and lonely. These are all great words for practice. Once the sound has been taught to the child with correct modeling, they can work on making the sound by themselves or in isolation. They can try syllables such as, for SH you might say shoe or shore, that is a syllable. Then you go to words, and then you go to sentences, and eventually to conversation. Okay? So these are great practice words from the story. I want to thank you for joining me for this follow-up to the book Big Al, the reading of the book Big Al. Here you have, I just presented with you some social skill lesson and some language components, as well as articulation drills that you can, words that you can use for drills. Okay, so again, I hope you can benefit from this presentation, and I hope to see you on the next book. Okay, have a great day. God bless.